Okay, so I'm just very curious about a lot of different things. And so yesterday I was reading this article about how the Trump administration is like, well, not even the Trump administration, but the Republican Party's like rifting apart over H-1B visas. And I'm gonna just say I didn't know what an H-1B visa was if I didn't work in one of the fields of which I do work in. And so, if you don't know what that is, it's the visa that allows skilled workers to come into the United States to do work. I work with a lawyer, and at this current time, I work with a lawyer, and that's like most of what he does is help people do that. And so it's mostly STEM. What I notice is like it's mostly people in the STEM field, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. That's usually their skill. They usually have high certifications in that field. Now, I'm not going to go over the process because you know what? I'm not a lawyer. I'm an assistant. So I ain't going to lie to nobody on this. I've asked him a little bit about the process and just some of the things that like the hoops people have to jump through to get into this country. There's so much gratitude for being a born American. Like my dad is an immigrant. My dad is an immigrant, and my grandmother on my mother's side is an immigrant. And there's so, and anyway, I had like a whole conversation with my grandmother a couple of days ago about like, how did you get into this country? And it was kind of like, oh, I tripped and fell and ended up being American. Like it was weird. She came in the 80s. Like it was weird. Or was it the 80s? No, she came before that. But anyway, not the point. But there's like a rift happening because, I think people thought that when he won, it'd be like this, oh, the immigrants have to get out. And which is just sounds absurd. Like I don't know why people would think that that's what would happen. But anyway, I was reading this article, and it may not be as big of a deal as people think it is, but or it may not be as big of a deal as this article led me to believe, but I wanted to talk about it because I thought it was interesting. I was like, what in the world are people, what? But H-1Bs are skilled workers. Like they're skilled workers who are coming in here to do a job. And in the article I read, a couple things it pointed out, it said, like 70% of H-1Bs are coming from India. I was like, oh wow, that's a lot. That explains this paperwork I'm usually filing. Okay. And the names on it. But it also mentioned that like these Indian workers are, they're, as far for the work that they're doing, I should hope they're being paid good money. But they're still not being paid as much as they're being paid equal, if not a little bit less than their American counterparts. So they're not actually being paid more than the average American, which I don't really know if that's advantageous to the American economy. I don't really think that hurts us, but I don't know. Anyway, the rift is just that, some of the constituents of the Republican Party thought that this would be one of the things to go, is the H-1B visa. And it's like, it brings me back to something that I'm pretty sure someone has said, but if you ever see my content, I'm going to say it too. Why do people act like immigration is bad? One, our country is built off ignorance. We all know that. Two, when Americans cry about immigration, because it mentioned some lady, Laura something, she is a Republican activist. Now, I'm going to say something that sounds super stupid. It's okay. I was like, y'all got activists? What are y'all, like, I've never heard of a Republican activist. What are y'all fighting for? I'm sorry. I've never heard of anybody say Republican and activist. That together, never heard it. That was a shock to me alone. But she was like, no, like this is hurting Americans. I just want to point out how similar that argument sounds to the Free Labor Party under Lincoln. Like, we need to stop slavery because it's hurting white men from getting jobs, because it's cheaper to it's cheaper to just have slaves. We need to stop immigration because it's hurting white people from getting jobs, because it's cheaper to import more skilled labor. Like, I'm sorry, like that. When I read that, I was like, ma'am, Shut up. Shut up. And maybe that's wrong. It's okay. I'm okay with being wrong. All that being said, I've always looked at when people talk about immigration, I'm like, can we just be honest as Americans? Like, for real, let's be honest. When we talk about immigration and we talk about them stealing jobs, it's two sides of the spectrum. It's two things. And now I know the name, and now I think I know the name of one of them, because I think it mentioned it's a B visa or a B1 or B2 visa. I might have that one wrong. And then there's an H-1B visa. And the H-1B is skilled labor, and the B1 and B2 is, I believe, unskilled labor. You can fact check me. It's okay if I'm wrong. And the thing is like, notice the two visas these like people, like immigrants, are getting: unskilled labor, which is usually agricultural labor, and highly skilled labor, which is STEM. These are things many Americans like literally don't have the capacity to do. So what, like, when people say they're stealing jobs, I'm like, what jobs? What jobs? The average American does not want to work in agriculture.